Now, for more on the January 6th committee revelations, let's bring in NewsNation political editor Chris Stirewalt, who was also called to provide testimony to the committee earlier this month. And Chris, we've heard just conflicting takes on exactly what happened. Cassidy Hutchinson said what she says happened, she heard secondhand. And now we have two Secret Service agents saying that they're willing to go on the record and refute it. So my first question is pretty simple. Who do you believe?
Oh, well, I haven't heard from the Secret Service yet, so I wouldn't be able to say. I will say the secondhand claim about exactly how Trump behaved in the limousine certainly got all the attention, but isn't the most important claim that she made. The most important stuff is what she saw or heard. She said she saw or heard firsthand, which is the president's awareness that the mob was armed, president's awareness that he wanted to get rid of the magnometers that the Secret Service was using to screen people as they were coming into the rally. The fact that he wanted to go to the Capitol at all, and the fact that he was rather content with the fact that there was this very angry armed mob, and that their targets were not him, that it was Mike Pence, and that it was the Congress of the United States. Those things that she heard firsthand, I haven't heard any refutation of so far. The Secret Service on this one is in a tricky spot. It would not be good for the Secret Service's ability to do its job if its members were called to testify to talk about everything that they saw and heard. We know from history, and we can imagine that for the future, how difficult that would be for them to do their work if they were also going to be able to be called. So the Secret Service is in a tight spot here, and I will be very interested to see exactly how the agency plays this in the days and weeks to come.
Now, as you watched her testimony yesterday, you have to wonder what the end game is for the folks asking her the questions. The Democrats on that panel, obviously, they don't like President Trump. Even the Republicans that are on that panel, Liz Cheney included, they do not like President Trump. Are they looking to fuel possible legal charges down the road, or does this have more to do with almost breaking the spell of Trump over the Republican Party?
Well, I suppose it probably depends on the member, and it probably depends on the day. This is one of those things that you don't know how exactly it's going to play out politically. Obviously, it has not been good for Donald Trump's chances to run for another term in 2024 for Republicans as they look to people like Ron DeSantis and others, that they could sort of move past this. I'm sure that this has not been helpful to Trump in that way. But it's also the fact that we always there's a cynicism in politics where people say, well, what am I going to get out of it? This was something that was going to have to be done eventually. There were just going to have to be hearings around this. This was a totally unprecedented thing. And as much as both of these parties would like to think that they can control outcomes, they really can't.
And the president said it himself. He said he could walk out on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and he wouldn't lose any votes. And we are putting that to the test. Of course, he didn't shoot anyone, but there could be future criminal charges based on this. Obviously, that's an exaggeration that he could shoot somebody, but is it true that he could do pretty much anything and not lose any support?
It depends on the state. It depends on the time. There are certain places, obviously, as we've watched through the primary season, where the former president has enormous sway over core groups of Republican voters. But what we've also seen is that in other places, and we note Georgia, particularly the primary there. And we also had some primary results last night that pointed to the same thing, which is this is not the future of the Republican Party, right? Relitigating 2020 is not the future of the Republican Party. And even those, there are a lot of Republicans who try to do the two-step where they say, oh, yes, I love President Trump, but they'd rather not talk about that stuff. So I think this is part of a working through process for Republicans in coming to terms with Trump. And we'll see whether or not he decides he wants to make a run, but this has certainly changed the construct that he'd be running in.
All right, Chris Stirewalt, he is the national political editor for us here at NewsNation. Chris, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.